Okay, there we go. Here, I'll give you guys a good bet tonight. Ready? Everybody that came tonight gets a bet and charts. It's too late to give you North Texas. That was underrated. I took Chet Holmgren over 7.5 rebounds, minus 108. I think that's a steal. I hammered that, and then I also hammered Sabonis over 14.5 tonight. So there you go. Oh, talking about your comment on Dame. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, bro. You know exactly what I'm talking about. If you know, you know. Well, it's a lot more than just Dame and Wemby. There's been way too many of those lately. If you know, you know. That's all I'm saying. Oops, didn't mean to make those comments huge. Okay, we're recording. We're recording. Is this recording? Yes, perfect. Okay. Okay, let's get into SPY real quick, y'all. Um, so I just want to backtrack here, guys. So we made this all-time high at 613, and then we started to retrace. Now, obviously, if you don't know how to draw fibs, which that's what this is here, a fib sequence, Um, I would suggest learning, obviously. Hit me up about our master class. You can hit JC up about his one-on-ones. I don't know if he teaches fibs, but you can ask him. But they kind of guide us, if you will, on the overarching where the market's headed. So once we realize this was a retrace, you got to find your low to your high, your high to your low. I should draw another set here, but for this to keep it as simple as possible, I'm just gonna have one sequence here. So call this your main sequence, if you will. And we came down here to our 618, which is key and like the keyest of keys. And we bound, look at this, guys, to the penny, guys and gals. Um, Look at that. Look at that. I mean, can't ask for anything more. Now, this blue line is our 200-day moving average, okay? Which means it's tracking the average price for the last 200 days. And I use on higher moving averages just SMAs instead of EMAs. Now look at what we did on Monday. We popped over and closed over our 200-day moving average and our 382 and our 382 fib here, which is a key fib and a key moving average. Let me zoom in so y'all can really see these candles here. Okay. Now, what did we do today? We came down again. So you would consider this a breakout above key level because we closed over on the daily, and obviously this is a massive bullish engulfing candle. And what did we do today? We came back and we retested not only where we broke out, but the 200-day moving average and the 38% fib here. And what did they do? They acted as support. That is very bullish. And then we got bought up off of that and actually closed above where we opened. Very bullish day overall structure wise. Now, from a pattern perspective as well, remember what I told y'all, right? When I predicted that we would go down to 549, there was a reason because the market moves in these waves. This is all Fibonacci based. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put the X point there. Not that it really matters. You can see this M, I'm sure. I mean, it does matter for the sake of how the pattern actually works, but the market moves in these M's and W's, right? Clear M. Everybody can see what I mean here. Looks like the letter M. I assume you all know how to read and write. So that looks like an M, right? That's how the market moves. And now what do we have forming? You don't have to say it out loud, but hopefully some of you see it. Hopefully someone sees it if you want to chat it in, or you can always come off mute if you're brave. We have a W forming. And I would be stunned if we don't see around 613 to get rid of this imbalance. I'm not saying that we won't go down further eventually, but the market, I've hammered it to you all over and over again, right? The market wants to be in balance. That's why you see these massive impulsive moves up and down. They're not going to random areas on a chart. You think look at to the penny, this wicked on this fib. You think that that's random? No, nothing in the market is random ever. So perfect W forming right now. If I had to guess, somebody had a gun to my head on where the market was going. I'd prefer a gap down tomorrow, honestly. Because again, remember what I say every day in the Discord. SPY fills its gaps. What did we do today? We gapped up and then we went down and filled our gap. I'd prefer a gap down to fill this gap and then a move back up. Hate leaving these here because eventually this is going to form. Once this next candle forms, an imbalance will officially be present there because it's a 3 candlestick pattern. So hate that we're leaving this imbalance here. Just means all that tells me is that at some point again in 2025, we will trade at 564 or 56,000 on SPX. So hopefully you took some notes there. I would prefer to get that over with sooner rather than later. because I am, as I think everybody should eventually lean bullish long term because the stock market was designed to go up, but I am almost always more bullish than bearish. Obviously, we played plenty of puts on the way down here, but the R to R now is back to the long side, which R and R means risk to reward, guys and gals and guys. Um, and right now, above the 200-day moving average, above this 38% fib, I will not be looking to short outside of anything but a day trade. Uh, so I'll pause. Any questions on SPY or overall market sentiment before I move on to just individual tickers? Let's look at Tesla. Another perfect move. Hopefully, y'all are starting to see these patterns here. Boom. Look at that. Again, I assume everybody can read and write, so you should be able to see that there's an M forming. And now what do we have forming next? I would bet on 350. See this massive imbalance? The market wants to fill that before deciding which way it wants to move, up or down. Because by the way, this massive move down, a bounce back up, even to 350, honestly, would still be what? A higher low or a lower high. Sorry. Actually take us perfectly there to trend. So we can go all the way to 350. That's how murdered Tesla got. We can go from 212 to 350, and unless we break out here, this is still bearish. It's just like when I was talking about SPY and we were going down, down, down. Everybody thought we were going down, down, down. As long as you hold a 618 fib inside of a sequence like that, you're still in an uptrend. So if you're taking notes and you don't know a thing about fibs, that's one of the most important things. As long as you hold the 618 fib, you're still in whatever that trend is. Same thing to the downside. Tesla's the same thing here right now, right? Oh, it didn't save my drawing. Well, what the because what the hell is that? The trend is your friend until the end. So until we can break this trend line, which again, sorry for my terrible drawing. All this is a lower or high, lower high. Jesus, words are hard for me today. All this would be a lower high. Which again, that just goes to show you how freaking murked this stock is. But again, M's into W's, W's into M's. If I had to guess, what'll happen is we'll head up, especially since we closed above our 200. Today was insane on this name. So again, same thing here. Let me go back to this, guys. Let me get rid of this drawing and just show you why I tell people when they say they have FOMO, you should never have FOMO. So we break out here today. This is where we opened, right? And then we came all the way back down here and wicked and then ended up popping above the 200-day moving average. But anytime you think you miss a move, right? Like how many people do you think just YOLO'd calls on Tesla because it was up pre-market and then got stopped out for a loss and then watched it rip fucking $10 higher than open? I guarantee that happened to a ton of people today. And it's what I was saying in the chat today when I saw people blindly shorting for no apparent reason. Is you need to be strategic with your capital. And that's why understanding these charts is so important. Everything's written in these charts, right? Look at this, right? This move. And I'm going to show you actually something. We played Tesla last year. It was the biggest trade of my life. And a lot of people are asking me how I saw it coming. And what you had was here. Now it went freaking insane, but this W up. And then once a W completes, remember what I always say, it's actually a double top. So it came down. Oops, God, my drawings are just terrible. Held this area and it acted as a launch pad. Now, I'd be lying to you if I thought we were going to get a $250+ move. My target was like 330 originally, and obviously went way higher than that. I mean, we almost hit 500. So, but it's the same thing now, right? Once we hit this, and then we started to retrace here. Because by the way, look at they they even make these mini, they're even mini inside of the wider pattern. We had this little W, which is an inherently bearish pattern. But also, what did we do? We made a lower high, which is bearish, right? And the opposite is happening right now. We're making what? Every time we retrace, what are we doing? So here's our bottom. We retraced here. What did we do? Higher, low. That's bullish. So if you're taking notes, remember that. And then these M's, when they complete, it's what? A double bottom. Jesus, Alec. It's a double bottom. Oh my God. Which is bullish. And when a W completes, it is a, what did I just say? Double
Double
top,
top.
which is good job. Whoever came off mute to say that, which is inherently bearish. And as you can see, we have a fair value gap to the downside. So this is a bearish imbalance here, which is inherently, obviously, will create a downside move. So let me show you what I'm looking for on Tesla here really quick. So, oh, my fibs are gone. Damn. Didn't mean to get rid of that. That sucks. Well, now you can all watch me draw them real quick. So from this swing low to this swing high, there we go. Okay, and notice we came all the way back. Look at that. And look at how we followed them down the whole time, right? Like, look at when we were coming down. Each time we caught a bid, look at where it was. It was at a fib. And then look where we went back to sell off. Where was it? At a fib. Caught a bid, caught a sell. We rolled those levels down the same way we rolled those levels up. Same thing here now. We're riding these levels up. And by the way, just from an overarching sentiment, guys, when something, if something can rise this quick, it can fall that quick, and vice versa. We fall this quick, you know what this can do again? It can go right back up that fast. This coin, Nvidia, before it did its 10-to-1 split, now it's way harder to move Nvidia. If you've noticed, Nvidia's pretty much stuck since June of last year. Um, it's at the same price level. It'll be like that for a while, unfortunately. Um, but anyways, okay, so here's what I think is going to happen with Tesla. So we have a very clear trend here. Okay, like I just said, there we go. I assume we're going to W up. Boom, 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 boom. Then I would expect a move like this back down to this fib, an attempted move back up here, a move back down here. What am I making? An M, which is then inherently what? Bullish. So this is what I think Tesla will do. A sporadic continued move up, a hard rejection off of trend, a move back down to this fib, another rejecting off of the trend, we'll move right back down to this fib, and then I think we will eventually break through. Should be a fun name to play over the next couple weeks / months. As always, it's always a fun stock to play. So, questions on Tesla before I move on? No. Okay. We'll go to my favorite name. If you don't own any of this, you will regret it. You will regret it. I've given my whole thesis on this company with the numbers, with the with the true fundamental. Oh, you don't care about news / sales falling for Tesla? The chart makes the news, bro. So if you start it, and I mean that, I'm going to say it again. The chart makes the news. You can look at, like I said, you could tell Donald Trump was going to win by looking at the Tesla chart because people knew Elon Musk was in bed with him. And when it got, as we were going and going and the way Tesla was going up, you could tell he was going to win. And by the way, I've like, not just Tesla. I got that goes for every stock in the world. The chart makes the news. Haven't you ever wondered why, like, when all of a sudden we're at a key level, all of a sudden fucking 8 people on the board of XYZ company all of a sudden commit murder and the stock goes down? Or it looks like, oh my God, we're coming at a key level of support. Like, are we ever going to bounce? And all of a sudden, his company fucking cures cancer and it flies back up. And then you find out 6 months later it was all fake at a key resistance level and you go right back down. It's all in the chart, bro. All that stuff is planned. All that stuff is planned. All the bad news on Tesla was to bring it down, and all of a sudden, you notice tonight, you know what they announced tonight? All of a sudden, when we're coming up on key support levels, they just got the clear full self-driving in Austin, Texas is happening in June. Exact. Yep, you beat me to it. FSD in June. Full self, unsupervised self-driving in Austin, Texas is a go in June. That shit does not happen by coincidence, guys. But, and gals. The sooner you realize that all this shit is like Hims is a great example. So we're ripping off insane news. We were so overextended. I actually, and this is one of my favorite stocks to own. And I said, you can go back and look at it right around this daily candle. Um, thanks, David. Yeah, David's a masterclass alum, one of our best students, actually. But this candle right here, I tweeted and said, "Man, Hims is setting up to be a monster short because we had made this just insanely unsustainable move up. Regardless of if we needed to go as low as we did, we needed this giant. We had a huge imbalance here. So again, I'm not going to get into what that is. You can take the class if you want to, but the huge imbalance here that needed to be filled. So I knew regardless we were going to come back down. You know what happened up here on this massive day where we were going to make an all-time high? All of a sudden, out of the blue, some random corporation decides to announce that there's a Ozempic shortage. You know what Hims' number one product is? Ozempic, because nobody wants to actually work out. That people just want to lose weight. You know what happened to Hims? Got fucking destroyed. You know what happened down here when all of a sudden we started building support? All of a sudden, all these companies start coming out and raising price target on Hims. Because you know what? Smart money, aka hedge funds, were doing this. This is called accumulation. When you start to see this, they're accumulating shares. Notice how this volume was huge on the way down, then it starts to die, 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 die. And we're just even. And then look at this. This was how you knew this was confirmed. All of a sudden, the largest volume day in over a month, and the trend is confirmed. That's why you saw me buy him so heavy on Friday when I said I don't own enough. Accumulation, we will move back up. There will be some more news. I bet you around 61. That'll drive us down back to 43, which is our golden pocket here. And I bet you we end the year, assuming the world doesn't end, I bet you Hims ends the year between 67 and $72. Great company. One of the reasons it's so great, guys and gals, is we live in a time that for whatever reason, like nobody leaves their house anymore. Like nobody's doing anything. Like, and I don't gamble or anything myself. Well, I sports gamble, but I don't like go to Vegas, for example. But Vegas's net year over year revenue last year was down 40%. Nobody wants to go into the office, right, to work. They're being forced in or they don't want to go. Well, nobody wants to go to the doctor. And you know what him slash her, because now they service a bunch of women, allows you to do? It allows you don't even, hey, Jason, whoever you are, can you mute yourself? We hear you breathing into the
My
mic,
bad.
bro. Brother, you are good. We appreciate you being here.
Yep, my bad.
Um, no, you're good, bro. You're good. Trust me, we've all been there. I've done it on a fucking corporate meeting before.
At least it was just breathing.
Exactly, bro. You say that. I've been on a meeting where, yeah, exactly. At least it was just breathing. At least it was just breathing. Um, but now they service women. They've serviced women, I think, for the last 12 months. You can, you're overweight, great, you go to Hims. You can't get your dick up, great, you go to Hims. You're depressed and anxious, which if you're 30 or younger, more people think they're depressed or anxious than ever. I'm not going to get into my personal feelings on that. I always tell people you need to remove your own feelings, morals, etc. when investing in stocks because they don't care. Do I think that anybody should be able to just jump on a phone, text somebody and get anxiety medicine? No. Do the majority of people on planet Earth, specifically America, want to not be able to leave their home and just get anxiety medicine? Yes. This company will be Hims boner pills always fire and gonna be needed. Boom. Guys, spot on. Camden in the chat. He's abs and they have way more than boner pills. That's my point. Hims now, this is a crazy stat. Hims in 2020, what they made in the year, so all year of 2021, I apologize. So the year after COVID, they now make that weekly. So say that again. What Hims made in 2021, the entire year, they now make that weekly. Their growth is insane. This is a $100 stock. If I could only buy, this would be on my list of, hey, I could only own 5 stocks. This would be on it. Like personal shares, not just options, like equity. So, anyways, now that I went on my Hims rant, this looks same thing. This looks similar to Tesla. We had a nice bottom here. It actually bottomed out better than Tesla at our 886, which is a key profit taking fib. We moved up here, broke out yesterday above the 786. What did we do? We um, came down, retested that today. Everybody can see that, right? So what retail traders often do is they see a breakout like this, they have FOMO. Don't worry, if you're in here, you can admit that it's happened to you. It still happens to me sometimes. It happens to everyone. It's human psychology. Like, ah, fuck, I missed the move. So you YOLO in today. The stock goes down, 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 down at 36. You're like, oh my God, I'm an idiot. I don't know how to trade. I'm never going to get this right. You take a L when all it was doing was stock broke out, retrace to the breakout. You will always, so look at this level. Rejection, 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 rejection. You can count that as a rejection. We popped over. You almost never, this is why I'm a little concerned with what SPY did that we didn't go back and fill that gap. You almost never break out from a previous resistance and go back and retest to confirm that that is support. Don't let a move like this trick you out of a position. Actually, so if you did get in the position, don't let it trick you out, but grow enough that instead of buying the impulse candle, you wait for the retest. One of the biggest lessons I can teach you. So yeah, love this move. Love this name too. Okay, let's go to Hood. A bunch of people I know want to know about Hood. It's pretty much this, almost the exact same setup. My only concern about Hood, this thing loves to leave gaps, y'all. So again, share buyer, Hood, again, leave your opinions at the door. They now not only allow you to gamble on the stock market through options, because 95% of people that trade stock options in retail at least have no idea what they're fucking doing. So it is gambling. They now have somehow found a way, which they did get sued for, and I found it fascinating that the market didn't really care. They found a way around and are allowing people to bet on sports gambling, even in states that sports gambling is not legal, by tying it to futures contracts. That was like kind of super genius evil level stuff that they figured out. Good for them. They allow you to buy crypto, you can buy shares, so on and so forth. We are 30 and younger generation are more into handling our own finances than any other generation before us. Robinhood, I don't think is the best app to do that, but it's probably what the most user friendly, user accessible. They have the most advertisements. So from like a pure long-term investment standpoint, in my opinion, great name to own. Um, Anything with money like this that can attract users, their user growth is through the roof. Great name to own. This and SoFi would be my favorite financial place. But as I circle these gaps here, a stock like Robinhood normally doesn't leave gaps like this. Like if you go back and there's the Amazon, I think I said this on the last one, Amazon, Apple, etc. Uh, they'll maybe leave a gap. Tesla's left the gap way down in the 40s. So on and so forth. Rarely do a companies with these level of market caps leave gaps like this. So I hated to see this when we were making this move down. I really wanted at least this one to fill down in the 30s. Didn't get it. We didn't even get a 200-day moving average retest, which on an impulsive move like this. So when we first broke over our 200-day moving average, chat here on my side, we were at, call it $14 to $15. And then we moved all the way up to, call it 70, call it 67, because that's what it was. That's crazy that we haven't gotten one single test. This thing used to regularly break out above its 200 retest. All right now. So don't love that. Love the name. Right now it's pretty simple. It needs above the 50% fib here. It needs above, call it 51. I'll round up to 51. Starting to get some headwind right at where you can see this has been a big level for us in the past that we haven't been able to get past. So call it 51. I'm not in any short-term options on this. I'm in some leaps. But love the name long term, but be aware. If we come back, this line that I have here in this drawn in the sand, if you will, I'd be out of any options if we lost call it 45. Okay, I've been rambling for a while. Any questions on when you say it needs 51, you mean you would wait on the side before buying in? Yeah, from an options perspective. Yep, Ari, I would wait for it to be above 51 to get any options. Yeah, or if we come back down to this 618 here and we hold, call it 46, and move back up, that would be a sniper entry. Or buy in now, but if it rejected, then get out. Yeah. I mean, if you want to buy in now, sure. And then I would use the 618 here as your stop loss, 46. So I personally, yeah. Hopefully my answer makes sense. Did that make sense? Man, the fucking Warriors. Pathetic game. Did that make sense, Ari? Or no? I guess not. He didn't respond, or she. Well, if it did make sense, let me know. If not, I can come back and explain it. Any other questions though on Hood, Hims, Tesla, overall market? I'll take requests now of I think so. Still unsure if that means buying now and risk losing or better to wait for that 50. I mean, it would be better to either wait for a break above 51 or a move down to 46.50 and hold. Are you such a Warriors hater, bro? I'm not a Warriors hater, Joey. I bet on the Warriors to win tonight and they got absolutely demolished. So does that make sense though, Ari? So if we came down to, I'd either wait for a move above 51 or I'd wait for a move to get in lawn or I'd wait for a move down to 46. And if that held, I'd get lawn. Can we do Nike? Sure. Dreaded Nike right now. Honestly, the new CEO needs to, okay, cool, thumbs up. Hopefully that means, I think that means good things. So I just wanted to zoom out here real quick for everyone to see. So Nike. We had a long discussion in this in one of my Discords last week about Nike. Drop if you think Nike or Lululemon is better quality clothes in the chat. Um, the answer is Lululemon, by the way. But so between COVID low of 2020 and then it made its high in 2021. And every stock since then, by the way, not every stock, but every stock worth a shit has now come and made new all-time highs, right? Tesla, Nvidia, I mean, obviously the S&P, HIMS, every stock we've gone over. I mean, even fucking AMD went and made a new high after the COVID research, which is insane because that's a piece of shit. You can see the M's and W's, by the way, all over this name. W, M. But anyways, the reason I zoomed out is this is if Nike's gonna catch a bid, if this isn't the bottom, which it is interesting to see, despite having here, let me zoom back in now, despite being red since its earnings report, which honestly had killer earnings, but the classic chart makes the news, right? So coming into earnings, look at this, y'all. This is actually a great example for the gentleman who asked earlier, which it was you, Ari, asking. Man, Ari's asked some great questions. And Ari, don't know if you're a guy or a gal, so I'm sorry that I keep assuming you're a dude. But look at how we were rejecting this fib over and over again into earnings. We could not, for the life of us, get over guy. Cool. Ari's a guy, so I haven't. Cool. We couldn't for the life of us get over this fib. Rejection. Even on a green day, we closed below it. Rejection takes a while. Rejection. They double beat on EPS and overall rev and guided up for the next quarter, and we gapped down like 10%. Classic example of the chart makes the news. The chart didn't give a shit about what Nike had to say. Right down. And now I do find it interesting that we're consolidating here. If we break below this 65, this wick from earnings, we are definitely going to go to 60. And then it'll be very similar to what Tesla did, except this has just been steady down. The hope now on Nike is obviously the brand. Like I still wear Nike shoes every day. A bunch of people still wear Nike shoes. Their fundamentals are good. Their moat concerns me a bit, which if you don't know what moat means, Google it. With a company like Lululemon, for example, I think they have just such a better story, right? The moat means so much from a fundamentals perspective. What is Nike's differentiator now? It used to be, for example, when Jordan was first signed and all that kind of stuff, the Jordan brand, but what is it now? I couldn't tell you. Obviously they're trying with the Kim Kardashian thing. I was telling Chuck the other day what they need to do. I don't know how many of you are familiar with a brand called Ghost in the supplement space, but or a brand by the name of Gymshark, which the owner of Gymshark is the youngest billionaire in that space ever. And what he did was he went and found a bunch of young influencers on YouTube at the time and sent them free gear and realized that the YouTube economy was real and it was taking off. Nike's got like no influencers on that side of the world. They need to get into that. They need to get into gaming. Yeah, we're in Gymshark right now. Yeah, same. I like all my shorts are Gymshark. I wear Gymshark and Lululemon. That's all I wear, like for workout stuff. Um, so they need to figure it out. Obviously, they're a mega brand. I assume they will, but look at Walgreens. Sometimes the companies never figure it out. If you would have asked your parents, they thought Walgreens would ever fail. I mean, they declare bankruptcy. They would have told you no. I'm sure there was a Walgreens on every corner. My mom and I were just talking about this the other day. That was their phrase. We have a Walgreens on every corner. Didn't matter. Now they now they're going out of business. So, um, any company can die, right? So not to like sound the alarms. I don't think Nike's gonna die, but I do think it's Sears, exactly. But I do think it's important to look at both sides, right? Like of the I would call my shot and say 60 would be a low. And by the way, I'm still accumulating more shares, especially if we go down to 60. I'm a believer in Nike long term, but I also like to present both sides. I don't like to just be the Uber bull. So just be careful. That's what I'll say about Nike. And if you're in options on it, make sure you're in the 2026 play.
Do they please?
Microsoft. When would I cut out of shares? Um, if they start to, great question, Ari. If those earnings reports that start to come in, because eventually that stuff matters, right? Like all of a sudden you're going to see, assuming
They're
that
warm.
their earnings stays up, all of a sudden, you're going to see some random deal drop that sends Nike, you know, flying again. But if those earnings start coming in, for example, um, let's say Q4 this year, all of a sudden they're getting just toasted, then that's when you have to start to really ask yourself, like, do I need my money parked here? Or should I move it somewhere else? It'll be interesting to see. They didn't do a good job. I'm a bit of an it's weird. Every device in my house is Apple, but I'm a bit of an Apple hater when it comes to them as a company lately because they haven't innovated in probably 5 years, which in tech, that's all that matters. Like the Apple Vision Pro was one of the biggest failures of a product launch in recent memory. I mean, I guarantee you we have 20 people in this group right now on this live. I bet you not one person owns the Apple Vision Pro. If you do own the Apple Vision Pro, say it in the chat because I want to ask you why you spent your money on it. And just ask you if you even use it. So they haven't come out with anything that revolutionized the space since the AirPods. That used to be their thing. And but they really, there we go. We have so one person in here. That's still terrible, by the way. Oh, I actually do not own the Apple Pro. I'm very confused by what this gentleman just said. But anyways, um, but Apple again kind of saw what was coming, that Trump was going to win, and they brought a bunch of manufacturing back to America. Um, and Nike like did the opposite. They just like put their heads in the sand. And so if the my bad, I wanted to troll. Respect. So if these tariffs do actually happen, that will be very interesting to see how Nike responds because they thrive on slave labor. Like just call a spade a spade. Some random Indonesian boy making pennies made the pair of shoes that you're wearing if you own Nikes. Like, so it'll be very interesting, and they have I don't know why I said Indonesian, Chinese. Um, and it could be a boy or a girl, but they thrive on sweatshop labor. So it'll be very interesting to see how they respond to the tariffs because they've largely just acted like it's not going to happen. Where again, kudos to Apple. They responded early, which was interesting to see. Amazon, we're in 2027 calls or 2026 calls. Absolute, I gotta pat myself on the back. Got absolute bottom on these. We got in right here. Again, came down to my moving average here, wicked off, bounced, closed above. I called my shot. What did we do? We consolidated there for a while. Boom, boom, boom. Beautiful. With 9 months to go on the contracts. My target, for anybody wondering, is 213. 236 fib. I'll probably take about 75% of my profits there. You see how we've had a lot of trouble here in the past. What was, so resistance, we break over it. Notice this gap, right, guys? Keep talking about these gaps on the chart. Gap here, so you know we're going to eventually do what? Come down and fill it. That gap is now filled, and what is that gap acting as? At first, it acted as big buy, and then what is it doing? It's acting as a sell. So this 213 now is a huge level. I'll be out of probably 75% of the position, like I just said, at that 213 level. And assuming we can break over that, I'm fine with that. My next target would be 223. Questions on Amazon? Probably one of mega caps right now outside of Tesla. My favorite setup on large caps. Questions on Amazon? Celsius. Yeah, I can look at Celsius. Yeah, go ahead. Whoever's talking. Sorry. It's nice to hear a voice.
Okay. And like cobble, like stuff in.
Sir, who's talking?
And I put a boat from
Kobe, did you not mean to come off of mute, bro?
No, I did not. My fault.
Man, there I was. I thought I had somebody talking to me. Okay, Celsius, and then I'll get into Google. You broke my heart just now, Kobe. Thought your girl was asking for a Celsius chart in the background, or for a Chipotle chart in the background. She probably just was telling you her order. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Um, okay, so anyways, guys, beautiful. I want to pat myself on the back again here. We were adding Celsius like crazy here, and then we made an insane move up to 34. Just a freaking monster move. No, I didn't do Microsoft, so I'll do Celsius, Google, Microsoft, and then anything else that comes in. Monster move, and then what did we do, guys? What have I said now multiple times on this call? Just tonight. I say it all the time in the Discord too. If you take the master class, I say it probably 100 times in there. Joey and David are both alums. They know what I'm about to say. When you break out, you always come down and retest that breakout area. So we broke out of this pattern. What did we do? Came down, retested the breakout area, confirmed that what was resistance, this level here, this trend line here was what? Resistance.
Support.
Sell. Yep, and turn it into support. Exactly. So what was resistance now is acting as support. We've now broken that earnings high as of today, by the way. I posted my share position, by the way, on Twitter. If you're curious, I'm up almost 100% on shares. Pretty proud of that. We've now gotten past that earnings high. We're inside of this bearish imbalance that was taking us out. That's why we got here and sold. Again, nothing's random. Notice we came right up to this area, sold. Now, hopefully, the 200-day moving average is caught up with us. Look at where we wicked today and couldn't get past 200-day moving average and this, or what's left of this bearish imbalance. If we can get past, I teach that in the masterclass already, if you're wondering how to see bearish and bullish, bearish imbalances. If we can get past this bearish imbalance on this 200-day moving average, my next target is 40. I've been saying that for the better part of 2 weeks, that Celsius will see 40 sometime between the last week of March into the second to third week of April, and I feel very confident in that. I feel very confident in that. So, and I don't plan to sell a single share. Somebody asked me if I was going to sell any shares. I own the majority of my Celsius down in this range. I actually first was buying shares back at $8 when I was in school. I rode it all the way up to $100 and didn't sell a single share. If you think I'm going to sell any shares now, you're crazy. So they just bought Alani New, which if you don't know what Alani New is, I promise that your girl does. You never sell a stock that, one, people are addicted to caffeine. Two, every female you know is drinking either Celsius or Alani New. Women are the consumers that matter the most. Always look at what women are buying. That's why Lululemon took off so much. So anyways, yeah, I love Celsius to the people that are asking. 40 is my next target. Any questions on Celsius before I move on? And I'll do Google next. How do I feel about Google? I have mixed emotions about Google. I don't see any women at the gym not drinking Celsius. Exactly. They're either drinking a Celsius or an Alani New. I promise you. Google. I have mixed emotions about this. They keep randomly coming out and acting like they're going to divest YouTube TV, and they don't do it. And then the rumor pops up a couple months later, and they don't do it. So, like long term, just to give an answer, I don't know how I feel about Google. I think I don't even use Google anymore. I use Grok. for almost everything, either Grok or ChatGPT. I have a paid version of both of those. Um, I use that for everything. Those two things for everything. I don't use Google anymore. And their AI sucks. Gemini is terrible. Um, between Google and Microsoft to have the money they have and have such shitty AI is crazy to me. Like Copilot, right? That's what Microsoft's called. I get that free through work and I don't use it. I pay myself to get access to ChatGPT and Grok. Um, that's how freaking terrible they are. So I don't know how I feel about Google. Um, I love Microsoft long term still. I can talk about that in a minute, but I don't yes, Ari, Microsoft does have a stake in GPT, which makes it even more embarrassing that Copilot's so bad, by the way. Um, but that is one of the things I really like about Microsoft, but I'll get to that when I get to Microsoft. But yeah, Google, I mean, from a chart perspective, looks, in my opinion, really nice, by the way. So again, what have I been saying? The chart makes the news. Will probably be some cool thing Google announces soon enough. Came down to this 786, which is a key profit taking fib. We bounced back up. Where are we above now? Our golden pocket, the 61865 fib. Which is great to see. Now we need to hold above it. So we broke above these two. I'd love to see a retrace back down into the 169, 171 area just to confirm our breakout here. But yeah, it looks great. I mean, Google had this clear M down. It's hard to see on the daily because of all this consolidation that was happening here. So this was smart money selling, by the way. When you start to see this, it's the opposite of what I showed you on HIMS where we were accumulating. This is called distribution. When you start to see this, where you can't make a high and then you randomly make an impulsive high like this, retail's about to get dumped on, just so you know. If you switch to the weekly, you can see the M a lot more clearly, right? This double top M. Boom, boom, boom. Down. What is that? Double bottom, move up. I like a move to 178. So yeah, Joey said 180 is the next zone. Yeah, pretty spot on. I like a move to 178, 179. Really, this is a bullish candlestick pattern on the weekly too. So yeah, Google's fine. I mean, they'll probably figure it out. Their CEO's and what's his name, Sindor or whatever his name. He's one of the guys in bed with Trump too. So I'm sure they'll figure it out. Hard to bet against Google, Meta. I know this will probably bring up some mixed emotions, but Tesla or Nvidia right now, they're all in bed with Trump. So I don't see them going anywhere. Speaking of Meta, I
Yo,
won't go there.
Alec.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Hey, it's David. I just wanted to
Oh, what's up,
say
Dave?
thanks for the class. I'm
Oh, no
home.
problem, brother.
You guys have a good night. Y'all listen to him. He knows his shit.
Thanks, bro. Appreciate that.
Good night.
Okay, Mike. What a nice group we have. Everybody saying good night to David. Okay, Microsoft. Okay. I love Microsoft, by the way. Like company fundamental wise. I don't go out of my way to buy individual shares of it that much because it does this. But it's one of SPY's biggest holdings, so I own a ton of SPY. So I feel plenty exposed to Microsoft. But yeah, you guys should see a common theme here. We've been coming back to our 786s and 886s and 618s. That's why I said, man, people are just really greedy, man. Like I'm seeing people still think we again, like that whole 20% number is completely made up. Like you'll see people like, oh, we need to give back 20% of the move. It's like what move? Because 20%, sure, if you go from fucking here to here, we gave back 61% of the, just so you guys and gals know, these fibs over here, these are percentages. So for 12%, 23%, we gave back 61% of this move, this impulsive move from 500 to 613. We gave back 61% of that move. I'm sorry, but if you're still looking to just short or think that that's the move, that's not how the market normally moves. But anyways, Microsoft, and you're seeing this on all major stocks right now, right? Like how many of these charts have we pulled up that we're at the 618, 786, the 886? This came down perfectly to its what? Final profit taking fib of this sequence. And yeah, it's following its fibs up. Today it rejected the 707. So, I would bet Microsoft sees 417 during this run up. And then that's when it gets interesting. The 200 days right there, this bearish imbalance is right there. See what happens from there. But I would say 417. Yeah, Joey, I promise you, it's not just 600. We're gonna see. I said it at the beginning. You weren't here. We'll see 613. This needs to be settled. The market's one big auction, and there's one that's still open up here at 613 that needs to be settled. Everything needs to be balanced. I actually think we'll pop over to 625, and then if people still want a bear market, then we can go down. But we're gonna go see 613. ASTS, sure. I know the name, but I've never traded it. ASTS. I typed that in right. Yep. I'm assuming you must ask about this last class, bro, because I have this charted and I've never traded this name, so way to be consistent. The last time we were here last week, we were trying to get above the 50%. We did, and then look what happened today. We moved to the 382, popped over it, came back and retested it and closed over it. But the candle, I always say the candle structure matters, right? Where like Hims, for example, Hims did the opposite of this here. We can compare and contrast. Oh, here's Joey's favorite things, my levels. I don't have those on my when we're doing class because they get distracting for people. I use a completely different layout. But see how this is basically the inverse? You see how this came down where this came up? So I don't love that. I don't love that at all. I would bet on this to fill this gap before further move up. So 25. I'd worry that this gap needs to fill first. I don't like that candle. But as long as you technically speaking, as long as you're above 2860, it's bullish. So it's above the 382 fib. And then my target would be 32. But below 28, let's give yourself some grace and say below 28. I think it's going to 25 to fill that gap. Any other requests tonight before we jump off? Team. Appreciate everyone coming. Especially those of you that stay. We started at 25, we're down to 16. No problem, Ari. Joey, I know you're salivating at these levels, bro. Every day you're thirsty for my levels. Too funny. Too funny. Look at these guys, though. Look at this. This is a cheat code. This was my first class. Thank you. Yeah, no problem. I do. These are free. You get them with the two Discords that I'm in, but I do a 3-month course too if you really want to go from beginner to expert level trader and know how to do this shit yourself. Thanks, Alec. Excited for the masterclass in April. Appreciate you, man. Have a good night. No problem. Yeah, look at that, Joey. Look how sweet that is. Look at how we freaking rejected right there. Came down and look where we didn't go lower. My God, man. Look at my SPY ones too from today. Look at that. I'm telling you, all I'll tell you is this, Joey. One day I'll tell you the secret, but please start marking previous close and previous high on your charts. Look at that. Minimally. That's all I'll tell you. Okay, good. Just want to make sure you have a previous low as well. Previous low, previous close, previous high. Each morning. Go and mark them. I know you're trying to crack the code. That's key. Obviously, fibs, you know how I am. Fibs are key. So, about 550 of him shares in this meeting. I love you, bro. What was the news about the tariffs? Some new ones, correct? Bro, there's no new news. I'm not gonna get into a whole tariff discussion, but all I'll say is this: nothing has changed about Trump's tariffs. How they're being presented publicly, that has changed. That has certainly changed. But it's always been reciprocal tariffs. What I'll call is threatening tariffs, like the ones on India, for example, to get them to, which by the way, it worked. India announced today that they're gonna reduce their tariffs on us by 50%. So then Trump came out and said, okay, well then no tariffs on India. And then the specific ones basically like bar for bar, right? Hey, you tax our liquor, okay, we're gonna tariff your liquor too. So nothing's new about them. There's always been three levels. All of a sudden, the news is acting like that's brand new. It's not. So again, we needed a reason to retrace. Tariffs were perfect for that. So, and now all of a sudden, magically, there's three levels. Bro, he's been talking about that for 2 years in the news or on the campaign trail. So there's always been three levels of tariffs. So nothing new. They start April 2nd. We'll see. We will see what happens then. I would not be surprised if we make a pretty big move to 590 by April 2nd, then we'll see. Love the conviction to buy 550 shares of HIMS. Thank you, bro. Yep. Yeah, if there's no other chart requests, I'll let you all go. Obviously, I can talk about this shit all day, but I know we all have lives. Let's check in on the sports bets. Did anybody take Sabonis with me? It feels like a lock. Okay. He's got four.
Thank
I
you for
forgot
the
to.
very informative. Appreciate
Oh,
you.
no problem, bro. I took the under on Sabonis made threes, by the way. Chet Holmgren's already got 2 rebounds. We love that. North Texas is still winning. Told you I'll get into that. We're looking good. Looking good. Okay. And then I received a couple any thoughts on APLD? I received some DMs and questions today about the masterclass. Just DM me on Discord. I always tell people to do that. Just literally go into Discord and make sure you're DMing the person that sent that Zoom link. Because there's a bunch of fake me's out there. So if you are interested in the master class, it's 3 months long. Our next one starts in April. We meet every week for 2 hours. So imagine this, but very structured. We have very specific, like one whole week is just dedicated to Fibonacci, for example, which is those fibs I was talking about. One whole week's dedicated to fair value gap, so on and so forth. Just DM me on Discord about that. We actually had someone drop out due to a medical emergency, so we actually have 3 spots left now. APLD, I'll be honest, bro. I have no idea what this company does, so just take that with a grain of salt. From a pure chart perspective, $12 has been a big problem. I mean, you can see this bearish imbalance here. Boom, boom, boom. Hate the candle today. Didn't even try to come back to life. See if it can hold the 200-day moving average. Back down here at 7. If it can, then you'll probably move up to 890, and then from there you'll probably test 1080. So it's largely dependent on a large AI data center deal with Microsoft. Yeah, I don't trade a lot of companies like this. Like the cheapest stock I trade right now is SoFi and NVTS, and I'm buying both of those for the long. Look how well fibs work, guys. I'm telling you, if you don't know Fibonacci, you don't know the market. Look at that to the penny. Love that shit. And then NVTS. This is a American semiconductor company. Should the fundamentally, like from the numbers perspective, it should be $10, but semis have been getting burnt, right? When Nvidia is red on a market day today, which by the way, this had a nice daily candle though, right? Like from a structure perspective, but I've had this circled for a while. That is where I see us getting sold off on Nvidia. Go look at it. Tesla was a victim to this. Google was a victim to this. Amazon, Apple. When companies do splits as large as Nvidia did, you normally get consolidation for 2 years. Joey, by the way, come on, give me some credit. Remember when you and Chuck told me I was crazy when I said I bet you Nvidia chops for 2 years? You guys called me crazy. Yeah, well, here we are. We've been chopping since June. So it's just what happens when companies do splits. Still a huge believer in Nvidia. This is actually my all-time greatest P&L is on this name. So um I owe plenty to Nvidia and I do believe in them long term. So but they'll chop you'll get moves up into the 140s, 130s, all that kind of stuff, and you'll get moves lower again, and this is good areas to buy shares, but you're not going to see the explosive moves on Nvidia like we did like this for a long time. The market cap's too big. It's why, like, when you look at Apple, it's massive impulsive days like this on Friday and this on the Friday before that are so rare, right? this, like, here's a huge one, right? Like days that Tesla and like Coin, for example, doing the norm where they're doing fucking, of course, Coin barely moved today. That's hilarious. But you guys know how the stock moves. Look at this, by the way, guys. Look at this. I charted this weeks ago. Pretty much fucking bottom. Gotta love it. Stocks like this that move like this, Tesla, all that stuff, the market cap's too big. And Nvidia is the same thing, same way now. So rarely is it going to trade like a meme coin anymore. So, but an absolutely wonderful name to own long term, in my opinion. Even though they announce every couple months that they're a new deal with the same company. They've announced that GM autonomous vehicle deal the past 4 years, and every time you see it get announced, you see people on Twitter, oh, well, this is the end of Tesla. Like GM and Nvidia are partnering together to create an autonomous car. That got announced in 2020. Yet here we are still with no autonomous car from GM. So, anyways, I will see everyone tomorrow bright and early in Discord. Thank you for all the kind words, everyone. See you.
Thank you.
Stop share. Yeah, no problem, brother. Thank you. Stop.